Good morning. Well, today is Playday, and I'm going to get busy on doing some tracing, getting things ready. First guy we're going to use a light box for is this guy. And we are going to trace him onto tracing paper, which would make it a lot easier for transferring him onto watercolor paper. So, this is Duude. He won't be part of the Wild West town under the sea. So, light box comes on. Now, if it was dark out, it would be a heck of a lot easier to see him. So, okay. Maybe I should just turn the light off and trace him without. We can see him a little bit better. Okay. Well, let's see if we can find a page in here that hasn't got everything and anything under the sun in here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I have to get those back on. Yep. So, we take it. Make sure it's not hot. I thought it was a little thicker than it needed to be. So, move my iPad out of the way. And we are going to lay this here, straighten it up. You know what, I'm gonna make this easier for myself by just tearing this piece out. After all, this is Playday. This is a day to mess around and find out what is going to work. So, because this is tracing paper, I'm going to use my trusty old, I've had this pencil, I don't know. I try not to use it too much because it's my original sketching pencil. I've had this thing since 1970s, 1980s, somewhere in there. Okay, can we see this good enough is the next question. Or let's do a comparison. Sorry, gotta move that over there because we're gonna use that too. I actually think I'm seeing him better without the light box. Now, one of the things to know about the light box is that when you start doing things, you need to decide whether you like doing them better at night or early in the morning, like this is. Okay, he's a hammerhead shark. Let's get his little goatee down here. And my friend had suggested that I do a bass player. It was a hammerhead shark. Thank you, Renee. She said, give him a cheesy smile. So we are going to attempt to give him a cheesy smile. Okay, so this is how we do this. Now stick around because a little bit later on you're gonna see Mr. and Mrs. Lord and Lady Cardinal. Yep. So down here we go. He's got some clumsy fingers that he's playing on the strings. Yeah. Let me get this here. Now, one of the things we can do with this is we can also scan it into the iPad, and I can mess with it a little bit in there, print it out, use the light box, and put it onto the watercolor paper. Now, I'm gonna give you a little example of putting things on the paper on the iPad here. But this week, what I'm going to do is work predominantly on getting these ready for painting, going through the different paint color combinations, everything it would take for completing a finished product. Okay, now let's go on his body. He comes around. Sorry, I do that with my granddaughters. There we go. One of them is artistically inclined, so I hope she's watching. She just had to have an operation that was pretty serious, so yeah, that's scary when they're little and that happens. So we are going to do this in kind of some pieces and put it all together, probably say maybe Friday. Upload the entire thing, and then you'll be able to see the mess that I made. Okay, so Duude has his sunglasses, you know, the dark, cool Duude sunglasses. Yeah, let's make something like there, like he's got a nose or something. Anyhow, okay, we've got Duude on tracing paper. Now, I may have to make Duude smaller, and that's where the iPad comes in, because in comparison, the other inhabitants, pardon my bad grammar, there's a little difference in the shapes here, the sizes. Let me stand up here and make sure this is all getting on the camera, because I can only get this tripod just so close to the table. I gotta work on that. Anyway, so in comparison, you got sizes here going on. So if these guys are going to be, he's in the band, he's playing backup for her, doing her dancing. So yeah, he needs to be a little bit smaller. So a quick way to do that would be to scan them into the iPad, and with the light being good the way it is, I could just go ahead and do that. Let's see if the iPad was charged enough overnight. I do believe it right out of its charge. Well, this is a great way to start the day. Yoo-hoo! Well, things happen. Okay, so like, subscribe, get the notification bell thing going so that you will find out when this whole thing gets on. I get a little impatient. I gotta wipe this down. But as long as these are okay, let me get my okay, now bring the camera up here. We're going to turn this upside down, once you know, so we can get a good scan. A good picture, actually. I'm going to do this. Now, I am going to then go to my pictures. He's down here. He's upside down, of course. And I can send him into, come on. Okay, a little icon right here. I can send him to Procreate. Yay! I love Procreate. Okay, so here's Procreate. And there he is. I can turn him around. And then I will be doing some cropping so that he's of the size that will be good in the background for this whole thing of the painting. I'll crop him, size him down, and then print him out and use a light box, because here's the other thing I'm going to show you real quick. All this play gets kind of complicated, but it also gets really fun. So, I got something I want to put on this paper for testing out colors and everything. Let me find my page. Okay. So, now this is a time when you really do have to have the light box. Okay. All right. Now, I would put my picture squished down. We're going to use this. Well, how about we use Lord and Lady Cardinal over here? Ah, you were waiting for that one, weren't ya? Okay, well, we take Lord and Lady Cardinal. We put that here. I'm going to have them showing up here with the light box underneath. I will be so glad when my shed is done. Okay, so it looks okay that way, but if I put this under Lord Cardinal, oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump that like that. Okay, if I put it under Lord Cardinal like this, or Lord Cardinal should be like this, then you play with, you can either use 2H pencil, or this is a 0.5 lead mechanical. Okay, so I'm gonna center him here, and then I'll put her on a separate page, so I have plenty of chance to play with the colors. Okay, let me check to make sure, whoops, let me check to make sure that you guys are seeing everything in the center of the screen. Okay. We're going to start up here with his hat. We can see it here. And we just bring it around here. Okay. So what I will do, well, no, since you're here and y'all are interested in Lord and Lady Cardinal, let's just go ahead and do the whole thing. So you're getting a realistic view of what it takes to make one of my paintings. Because after all, he's having a conversation as they walk along. They're talking to each other, which is what cardinals do when they're together at the feeder. There's a bow there. Probably an ascot. I just have to do a little bit more research on that. Okay. And we just follow all the lines around here. There's one there. And we come down here. And his cloak kind of moves out around him. You know what I did for research for this was I watched Muppet Christmas Carol. It is my favorite Christmas movie. Of course, I will refine all this. I'm using this lead and making darker marks than I normally would, so that they will show up on camera and you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And so, yeah, bring him down here like this. And he's got a little waistcoat on there, and we're putting some buttons in here. And of course he's got his breeches and like that on. So yeah, but this is pretty much, now I will scale it and make sure that everything is right. Double check it, because you always double check it before you put it on the big main canvas. And so, oh, that's something that I was doing this last weekend. Inspired by rain on a window screen. Okay, so that's members of the band. Do we have another page here? We do. Okay. Let's put this over her. We're going to slide the light box down. Make sure that you can see every part of Mrs. Cardinal. Actually, I'm going to slide the light box itself up, the piece of paper down. So that way we make sure that every part of Lady Cardinal is on this paper. Now if I were using a bigger spiral pad, it would not be quite as much of a production, but heck, this is the way I play with the colors. So we're gonna come up here, we're gonna do her beak. She's listening intently, and a slight smile of what he's saying. Indication here of the dark. And I do her eye, and I'm going to give an indication of a rounded cheek because she's a healthy cardinal. And I watch cardinals a lot. I have a couple that they raise their young in the trees right outside the window here. I'm on my enclosed front porch, and so they raise their young in the tree, and we get to watch them learn to fly and develop the relationships between them, and we get to watch, like, you know, every time there's it's usually spring, a little bit of summertime. You can watch them get ready to, oh my, don't tell me my pencil's gonna go out. They get ready for a mating season. I don't want to really use this. Where's my other old pencil? What did I do with it? Oh, well, I guess I'm going to use this one. It's 2H. Don't really like it, but if I press a little harder, it'll work. Tuck her in here in her waist. Okay, we're going to make a little bit of collar here. A little bit of frill here. And then we bring our cape down. So with the cardinals around the way they are, I get to study a little bit of bird anatomy and then take a little liberty with it. And now that's not correct. It's just like she's got to have a hand because it'll fit in over here with this side, because her hand comes down here and it comes around and curls around this basket here that she's carrying to market. Okay, there's a method to my madness. And we come down here, make a fold in her dress. Actually, this is her coat. Gotta work a little bit on her feet, make them a little better. We're gonna let her tail show up a little bit. Lady Cardinals have a cute little tail end with their feathers the way they are. And you can tell a lot about what their emotional reaction to something is, or, you know, survival reaction is, by the position of their tail feathers. Okay, so they do have these nice feathers down through here. It almost looks like they have a little bit of makeup or a little smile going on. Okay. Now, do something about her shoes. I need to maybe possibly enlarge her feet, make the heel, and come down here. Let's make her have a little bit of a curve there, indicate that she's starting to lift her foot off the whatever pavement or whatever she's on. Okay. Do a better indication of those feathers up there. Because see, she's got a little T-bonnet on here. And that T-bonnet should come down here like it's under her chin or something. So, there we have them on do a comparison here. Okay, I see a couple of spots I'll have to touch up. That this would work better if I did this in the evening, but we're not working in the evening right now. We're working in the morning light. So this is for testing out colors of her coat, her basket, her bird feathers. I like to be as close as possible to the actual bird you see in the wild. And so of course he will be bright colored with the darker black around his face, whereas female cardinals have more of a, like a burnt umber or something. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna release this real quick here, and hopefully they will stick around. We've got a couple cardinals right now out here on the feeders. There's one right there, and the other one is right there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit so you can see her coloration. And these are young. These are from the last batch of babies that they had. Now this one here, I think it's going to be a male, and it's having a little struggle with the colors developing on its feathers, but it'll get there. And then we've got another one of the brood. Whoops, where'd it go? There it is, right there. Yeah, so they're around. And so when I sit out here in the morning and have coffee, I get to watch them, their mannerisms, how their feathers move to help them fly or land or communicate with each other. And that sort of helps me have an indication of what personalities they would have if they were human. And there's one down in here you can't really see. There we are. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and there's going to be bits and pieces of this, and the colorations and stuff are going to be, that's all going to come together. I'm going to film it in bits and pieces because it has to have time to dry in between, so you don't end up with a muddy, runny, goopy mess. And I will upload that probably on Friday. But thanks for coming along and playing with me. And they're gonna play King of the Mountain with the shepherd's hook here. One lands and then the other buzzes them, and anyway. So I'm going to transfer some of those personalities to these guys on the paper. And like I said, I'm going to put them bits and pieces together over the week. It's going to need time to dry. And then at the end of the week, you'll get to see the colors that I put together. And I want y'all to suggest colors down in the comment section. I know this has been a long video, and I thank you so much for sticking around and watching all the way to the end, to the Cardinals. And as a reward for that, suggest a color, and I will use it somewhere, either as a part of a shadow or decoration on her bonnet, or the color of his trousers, or his top hat. Yeah. So, come back the end of the week. If you hit that notification bell, it should let you know when I'm gonna post that. So, you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you at the end of the week.